Okay, so we're going to be going through section 21-1 through 1-7, and this will be on the engine. Section 20, general regulations. Throughout this rulebook, a number of references are made for particular products to meet certain specifications, i.e. SFI, specs, Shell, DOT, etc. It is important to realize that these products are manufactured to meet certain specifications upon completion. The manufacturing labels the products as meeting the spec. Therefore, expect, as outlined under SFI requirements, any change to the products void that certification. Under no circumstances may any certified product be modified, altered, or in any way vary from a manufacturer's condition, such as practice in violation of SFI, SNAIL, DOT, etc. Programs voiding such certificates as therefore will not be accepted by NHRA. Notice it is the responsibility of the participant, not NHRA or any track, to ensure that all safety equipment is not modified or altered. It is approved and is correctly installed, worn, maintained, and used. Section 1-1, cooling systems, engine. All cooling systems / radiators must be installed in the stock location for body styles used. Front engine dragsters must have systems installed in front of engine. Rear engine dragsters with regular mounted in front of engine must install a deflector from frame rail to frame rail and to the top of the roll cage. Portions above shoulder hoop may be width of roll cage bars unless radiator extends above top of shoulder hoop. If radiator extends above shoulder hoop, then deflector plate must maintain width of radiator. That's in section 4.3 if you want to reference that. Deflector plate 1-2 engine. Class limited to automotive engines only unless otherwise stated. Classes requirements, counterweights in weight to cubic inch chassis must claim cubic inch displacement of engine used. Under no circumstances may claim displacement exceed actual displacement by more than 5 cubic inches. No allowance for overbore. Any part of a cubic inch is rounded off to the next highest inch, i.e. 301.2 equals 302. If engine side is changed during a race, competitors must report to the technician, the department supervisor, before a run is attempted. Crankshaft center lines must not exceed 24 inches from ground in any classes except trucks. Maximum height is 36 inches for trucks running 12.00 and slower than 31 inches for trucks running 11.99 to 10 seconds. A 24 inch for trucks running 9.9 seconds or quicker. Engines must be mounted to the frame by a minimum of a 3-inch diameter grade 5 bolts. Valvetran must be incorporated. Conventionally, automotive coil springs designed for the type of valvetrain are prohibited in all classes. All classes with the exception of stock ET cars slower than 10.99 seconds. Harmonic balancers meeting SFI specs 18-1 or solid. Metric hub mandatory. All cars with pressed on front harmonic balancers must have such installed to protect against loss, i.e. drilled and bolted. Ceramic bearings prohibited in all NHRA categories. General regulations. Section 20, page 4. 1.3 exhaust. All vehicles must be equipped with exhaust collectors, headers, or stock installed to direct exhaust out of vehicle's body to rear of car, away from driver and fuel tank. No part of the exhaust system may be routed through the driver's compartment. Exhaust systems components must be securely fastened, i.e. metal connectors, straps, bolted, welded, etc. To prevent loss of system components during competitions, all removable multi-piece exhausts, collectors, stacks must be securely fastened with either an NHRA accepted header, therefore a minimum of a 1/2 inch stretch weld location on each primary tubes, or be permanently attached to the vehicle's body or frame with positive fasteners, i.e. exhaust hangers, support brackets, bolts, nuts, etc. such they require tools for removal. A certain list of NHRA accepted header tethers is available on NHRArace.com. Flexible tube or flex pipe prohibited in all categories. If mufflers are used, they must be securely attached to the exhaust system and vehicle body or frame, consistent with its endeavors to maintain drag racing. Accepted as a recognized sport and recreation, NHRA is enforcing maximum levels for support street, super gas, and super comp vehicles competing at national events, the same of similar requirements on all other categories in the future. Part of NHRA's mission upon reducing noise complaint with local noise and muffler laws, obedience regulations, or agreements. Therefore, all competitors must comply with any muffler rules applicable to his or her class in the rule book. So the neighbor's getting mad, y'all are being noisy. Any noise reduction requirements, including mufflers, mandatory by any member's track at which he or she races. People around the racetracks do live there. I like the sound. If I lived there, I'd like it. Anyways, the 30 to impose muffler rules and noise regulations beyond those requirements by the NHRA rulebook. 1-4 flash shields. Carburetor inlet must not be only exposed in lieu of the hood. Carburetors must be equipped with flash shields or velocity stacks that convert the top, back, and sides, preventing fuel from being siphoned into the airstream or blown into the driver's face. Additionally, any cars that is not driving through the pits with open stacks not protected by the hood or scoop must have screening installed on the open stacks to prevent items from entering the stacks. 1-5 fuel systems. Lines, pumps, valves, etc. must be outside of the driver's compartments. No fuel lines running through your cab. And within confessed of a frame and or steel body, cool can run fuel distribution blocks, etc. must be located at least 6 inches forward of the flywheel bell housing. Area on a rear-wheel drive vehicles and on opposed sides of the flywheel housing are on front-wheel drive forward vehicles. Fuel pressure gauges, isolators with steel braided lines may be mounted on the firewall. Tanks, when permitted by class regulations, fuel tanks located outside the body and or frame rail must be enclosed in steel. Two-frame construction of a minimum of 1 1/4 inches OD times 0.58 chromoly or 0.118 mild steel tubing. All fuel tanks must be isolated from the driver's compartment by the firewall. Completely sealed to prevent any fuel from entering the driver's cage. I'm on fire! I'm on fire! You don't want to be doing that. Tanks must have pressure caps and be vented to the outside of the body. A positive locking screw on the fuel tank cap in mandatory all open body cars. Isolated fuel tanks. Prohibited when used. Normal fuel cells must have a metal box protecting the part of the fuel cell that is outside of the body lines or tank floor, excluding hose connectors. General regulations. Section 20, page 5, General regulations. Area and rear. The metal box must be constructed of a minimum of 0.024 steel or 0.32 aluminum. Fuel cells or tanks must be grounded to the frame. Lines on all non-OEM fuel lines, including gauges and or data recorder lines, must be metallic, steel, braided, or NHAR accepted, woven, or wove push lock. A maximum of 12 inches total front to rear of non-metallic or non-steel braided hoses is permitted for connection purposes. Only individual injector nozzles and motorcycle fuel lines are excluded. Fuel lines except steel braided lines in the flywheel housing, bell housing area must be enclosed in a 16-inch length steel braided tube, 1/8 thick, 1/8 inch maximum wall thickness, securely mounted as protected against fuel line rupture. Fuel lines may not be routed in the driver's drive shaft tunnel. It is mandatory that all fuel lines passing supercharger, drive belts, or steel braided NHR accepted woven or woven push lock or be enclosed in protected steel tube. A current list of the NHRA accepted woven or woven push lock fuel lines is available on NHRA.com. All NHRA accepted fuel lines must use ends that are specifically designed for a type of fuel line being used. No hose clamps allowed on NHRA accepted fuel lines. Pumps, valves, cars equipped with carburetors or non-electronic fuel EFI systems, but with mechanical non-OEM, a quick action fuel shutoff valve with easy reach to the driver and location is in the main fuel line between the fuel tank and the carburetor and or injector's fuel recirculation system. Fuel pumps systems prohibited in all cars, stock, super stock, competition, and pro stock must be equipped with a positive lock drain valve located between the fuel tank and the carburetors or fuel injectors to facilitate a removal of a fuel samples for fuel check. So don't be cheating out there with y'all's fuel purposes. Fuel air, any method of artificially cooling or heating fuel is prohibited, i.e. cool fans, Freon, wet rags, etc., except as noted in class requirements. Cool cans, wet towels, etc. are permitted in super stock, super comp, super gas, super street, and ET classes. Wet towels, rags, ice, etc. must be removed before vehicles leave the staging area. All chillers, coolers, etc. were permanently by class requirements are prohibited outside of the competitor's pit. Ambient temperatures, air cooling, otherwise changing the conditions of the intake air is prohibited. Spraying of intakes with any artificial spray or coolant prohibited. Alternative fuels constructed for alternative fuels must be primary labeled by the manufacturer as a suitable for CNG or propane tank, must be vented outside of the body. Alternative fuel systems must incorporate pressure relief valve meeting standard listed in NHRA 52. Alternative fuel systems must be incorporated in a manual shutoff valve according to the standards listed in the NFPA 52 for CNG vehicles systems. All hoses lines used for alternative fuels must be permanently and distinctly marked by the manufacturer as to manufacturer's name or trademark services identifying a design, pressure, plastic, cast, iron, galvanized copper, or aluminum pipe of hoses. Prohibited. 1-6 Fuel racing gasoline. A current list of NHRA accepted racing gasolines is available on NHRA.com. Using racing gasoline except stock and super stock racing gasoline is defined for purposes of this rule book as a mixture of hydrocarbons only for stock and super stock categories. Racing gasoline is defined for purposes of this rulebook as a mixture. Hypercarbonates that do not increase the specific engine or the gasoline allowed that accepts in that do not exceed 1% by the volume and are blended in the general regulations. Section 20, page 6. Gasoline by the refiner or the fuel manufacturer, non-hydrocarbonated, the specific engine or gasoline are allowed to extinct that they do not exceed 0.15% of the volume and are blended in the gasoline by the refiner or fuel manufacturer. Racing gasoline is a good electrical isolator or district and is reflective eventually as an isolator. It is represented by its distinct construct. The average DC for the hydros that make up gasoline is 2.025. That is defined as a reading of 0 with the NHRA fuel check meter. Racing gasolines is tested and certified at NHRA events by the applicant and varies chemical analysis as considered appropriate by the fuel check personnel. Racing gasoline in a vehicle may be checked before use in competition. Methanol. Methanol is a clear, colorless liquid with a mild odor. At ambient temperatures, methanol is solid in 2 U.S. federal grades, A and AAA, AA. Either grade is permitted for use in NHRA competition, and racers should ensure that methanol they purchase meets federal standards and the purity of the standards for each grade are not shown in the table below. Specifications for pure methanol, properly grade A, grade AA methanol content, WT percentage, main, acetone, and ppm max ethanol, ppm max 99.85, 30, 2010. Distillation range at 101 kPa, not more than 1 C, including 64.6 plus minus 0.1 C at 760 milligrams Hg, 55 clear, colorless, 760 milligrams Hg color, platinum cobalt scale, mix of residential on. I'm gonna put all this on the screen. Y'all can look at that because the methanol is something that y'all need to read if you're running it, because that's a lot. Anyways, methanol is tested at certified NHRA events by the application of various chemical analysis and constructs appropriate by fuel check personnel to be considered legal. Methanol is used in NHRA competition, must meet the federal standards of purity. So clean methanol, no trying to cheat out there, don't blow your car up. These standards, because of impurities beyond the limits established in the federal specifications in the fuel sample with results in distillation. Because methanol is a hydrocarbonic substance, it is readily absorbed moisture from the air, which rapidly renders methanol illegal as a fuel for use in NHRA competitions. Intend to keep methanol containers tightly capped and times to minimize the absorption of water. Racers are encouraged to have a fuel check, personal check, samples of their own methanol anytime there may be a doubt as to its purity. Nitromethane, only nitromethane on an NHRA accepted on-site supply may be presented on-site or used on-site at any NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series event, NHRA National Events, or NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series events, NHRA Divisional event. To be eligible for competition, and any team using nitromethane must use nitromethane for accepted on-site supplier. As this time, the only accepted on-site supplier is Sunoco Racing Fuels. Fuels anywhere on-site at NHRA national events or NHRA divisional events, including without limitation in the vehicle. Transporters pit area or at NHRA accepted supplies on site location may be checked at any time. All right, y'all. Section 20, page 7, general regulations, and for any reason, including compliance with the rules and with the nitromethane specifications, any participant who violates the rules regarding nitromethane may be banned from competition at the applicant event and shall be subject to such other penalties deemed appropriate by the NHRA. So don't go out there and lose your license because you're messing around getting some nitromethane from someone else other than Sunoco, right? Any fuel with the NHRA Mellow Yellow Racing Series and Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series prohibitly minimum maximum nitromethane of 99.5, not applicable water, not applicable 0.5%, gravity at 60 0F, 1.140, 1.145, acidity and acetic acids not applicable 0.20%, amines not applicable, not allowed, heavy metals, pH, Hg, alcohols, and products consistent with the manufacturing process not applicable, not allowed. Balance. Color light yellow clear, nitromethane not allowed, not applicable. Methyl trite blend either 0.1 dimethyl sulfate not applicable, 15 ppm. Molecular weight 61.05, boiling point 101 C to 214 Fahrenheit. Critical temperature 315 to 599. Critical pressure at 62 atmospheres and 915. Vapor pressure is 20.068 F, 27.3 milligrams Hg, 74 milligrams, 9 kilobytes at 60 C. Another one of those, y'all are going to have to read your mixtures, get your mixtures right. Like I said, they're in there. Okay, back to some genuine regulations, section 20, page 8, nitromethane. Regulations to the Department of Homeland Security. Man, NHRA is up there with all these chemicals, ain't they? DHS contains the regulate to use the handling of nitromethane. NHRA has stressed for many years the importance of being not only responsible, but the leaders in the area of nitromethane security. The use of nitromethane, in this case, supports of NHRA drag racing is a vital to our support and or need to take necessary measures to ensure its use for the foreseeable future. The law requires anyone who processes 400 pounds, 44 gallons, or more of nitromethane to comply and submit a top screen questionnaire to the Department of Homeland Security. You out there drag racing, the dang old Homeland Security wants to know what you're mixing up, how you winning. Screening tools that require a great deal of detail and competition future to comply can lead to penalties up to $25,000 per day or having the racing activities shut down. For additional information and instructions, we encourage you to contact the Department of Homeland Security. So if you're crazy, you want to find out about some NHRA rules, call Homeland. NHRA cannot stress enough the importance of everyone in the racing community containing to be constrictions of the issues around nitromethane chemistry. Note, all nitromethane is required to contain an active safety ingredient that changes colors when the nitromethane has been synthesized or contaminated. Topic: physicians' properties, nitro oxide, nitrous oxide, permitted in ET classes, top sportsmen's, top dragsters, pro mods, and A/PM only. Push systems permitted in all bottles. Must be securely mounted. May not use plastic brackets. Stamped with the minimum DOT 1,800 pound rating and identified as nitrous oxide. All bottles that are 5 pounds or greater in weight must be mounted inside of the vehicle's frame rails or within the confines of the roll cage. Nitrous oxide bottles located in driver compartment must be equipped with a relief valve and vented outside of the compartment system. Must be chemically available and installed per manufacturer's recommendations. Commercially available thermostatically controlled blankets, typed warmers accepted, and any other external heating of bottles is prohibited. So no torches out there, you street racers. The use of propane oxide is prohibited. Alright guys, there you go. That's section 20, 1-1 through 1-7. I will bring you the rest of the NHRA rulebook throughout this series. There you go. If you don't want to read it, I just read it for you. So all you guys confused out there, the topic today was the engine, the fuel system, the fuels that you can run, and I will leave a link in the description to the NHR rulebook. There was a lot of chemicals. There's a chemical chart there, and if you want, you're gonna have to read that yourself. It's just something that doesn't come out on camera that good, and it's something you need to research, especially if you're running something other than pump gas. So I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, this has been Life in a Mustang, bringing you some of the NHRA rulebook. I'm going to post this to my new channel. I'm starting a new channel, by the way. So that is it's called Bump Box Media. Second channel, starting something new. It's going to be only videos like this. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.